Good morning, South Rock, and welcome to the final Mark devotion. Today is Mark 16:14 through the end, verse 20. This is the Markan version of the Great Commission. So Jesus, in full flesh, having been resurrected, is sitting with the disciples, and he rebukes them for having hard hearts and then commissions them to go and preach. Now, what people get mostly hung up on here is verse 18, where it says the people that believe in Jesus will be able to handle snakes in their hands and will be able to drink poison and not die. Now, this is problematic because this has made churches actually handle snakes. If you don't believe me, you can Google Appalachian church snake handling. It's also represented in a lot of pop culture stuff. And then drinking of poison. I think people get too hung up on this because I think this is literal. I think he's talking to the disciples, the people closest to him. When somebody new believes, I think this will be a sign will be shown through the disciples, and that's they'll be able to handle snakes and drink and not be harmed and all this stuff. Now we have some biblical evidence for that, and Paul was actually bitten by a snake, and he shook the snake off his hand during his lifetime. We have this in Acts, and he survived. He lived through that, and so we have a little bit of an example of this being true. I think it's not worth getting hung up on. First of all, don't handle snakes and don't drink poison. I don't think Jesus was talking to us necessarily as much to the disciples and those who have actually seen him and touched him. I think the thing that you need to focus on here is 19 through 20, where it says, "So then the Lord Jesus, after he had spoken to them, was taken up into heaven and sat down at the right hand of God. And they went out and preached everywhere." That is so important to me. That, I think, is the most pinnacle part of this verse, is that, first of all, Jesus has died and defeated death and was resurrected again and is now seated at the right hand of God, meaning he is like in a prominent position. He is God. He was God incarnate, and now he is in heaven at the right hand of God. And then the disciples were so empowered by Jesus and him being at the right hand that they went and preached everywhere. And so that's my question for the day that I want you to think on as you read this is, are you sharing your life and faith with that as a reality? Are you sharing your faith with other people, knowing full well that the reality of the situation is Jesus came, died, lives again, and is now seated with great power and authority at the right hand of God? Because if we don't live within that sphere of reality, we aren't so courageous when we share the gospel message. We aren't so forthright when somebody asks us about why we might be acting differently or what we believe in or who we believe in. And so I want you to really look inward today as we finish up Mark. Am I living with this reality of this entire book that Jesus came and lived, taught, died, defeated death, and lives again, and is now seated at the right hand in power? Am I living in that reality and showing that in my life? Because that is so important. So that is it for Mark. Now, what I'll tell you is we're going to release another video on Sunday, and Sunday is going to introduce what we're doing next, because these daily devotions will keep going right now indefinitely. Who knows how long, but we're going to post a video on Sunday. It's going to be me explaining what comes next. So wait around for Sunday. We should have that up on the app and YouTube and all that kind of good stuff, the website. So stay tuned. But until then, that was Mark. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.